How's it going? I'm going to show how to assemble the lower parts kit for the FN40. People were really struggling with this online, so thought I'd make a little more detailed video on how to put it together. I recommend using a magnetic tray for this because the parts will go everywhere. I'm going to go ahead and take them all out of the bag here. Just pull them on this magnetic tray. If your trigger comes unassembled, it will look like this. The trigger bar will be off the actual sear here. This is the sear right here, as you can see. Sometimes this comes unassembled. If you look here, there is a little pin that goes through the sear housing and holds in the actual sear. And then there's a spring that pin goes through. You can kind of see that pin there and that spring. On the right side, looking at it, there is a little tiny hole that spring goes into. You want to set that spring through that hole so it catches on. Then the longer arm of that spring is then touching the bottom of the sear housing. Then you would like to put a pin through that, like so, and then the bottom pin like that. On the bottom pin, there is another spring right there. If you can see that. Right there. That needs to sit in the middle with the pin going through it. You can see here the two mating surfaces of the sear. It needs to be under this little triangle shape right there. The sear actual arm is right here, and this little triangle needs to be under. If you put it on top of that, when you put your spring on, it will not work. Okay, next, you want to grab your halves, set them in your left side assembly, and grab your right side assembly. Make sure that that upper groove right there is slotted with this pin like that. It should seat pretty perfectly. Okay, now I'm going to grab these together. We're going to now sandwich our halves together where the pins are both in their respective grooves like that. You should see that this right here is spring loaded just like that. Now on the back side, our spring is actually on the wrong side. Okay, fuck me. Then what you want to do is you want to grab your sear, push it to like the utmost point so you can actually see this spring loop in between the point. Okay, on the back side, you have this little channel right here where the springs can go through. You can see how I captured that with my tool there, and where the actual spring now meets with the sear housing right there. Your little tiny pin is going to go right through that. So you grab your tiny pin, it goes right in that channel, through the eye of the spring, and back in the other channel. Now connecting the two halves, just like that. Okay, next, you're going to grab your sear pin, which is this piece right here. You're going to then put the spring onto the sear pin. It should look like this. It's going to go in with the lip right here facing upwards on the right side of the sear housing. Just like this. Go in just like that. Then you kind of want to push down on the actual sear till it captures like that. You'll see that now that sear arm is under our sear pin right in there. Then next, you want to grab your retaining lug, just like that, your retaining clip. And with the long side, it's going to slide right on top of that sear pin we just put in, sandwiching the two halves together. Just like that. Easy. Next, what we can do is we can then grab our trigger right here, and you want to put the trigger on the bottom post of your fire control group. It should look something sort of like this. Then when you grab your frame, the trigger shall go in like that. and it should just kind of seat in properly, just like that. Then you want to grab your roll pin, which should be this one right here. It's the one that has the hole in the center because it's a roll pin. And that's going to be punched through right there in the back of the fire control group. And yeah, then you're good to go. Just like that. So on here you can see how it should fit. This sear right here should be spring loaded. It should break and be pulled forward and catch. Here's our completed fire control group for reference. There you go.